Welcome everyone. Today we are joining another new webinar session. This is a new topic which will be more helpful for your examination as well, and it has been tested in more recent examination as well. The today's topic we are going to discuss about the pricing. In the previous sessions we have discussed some areas related to the cost management, standard costing we have already covered in the previous sessions. Therefore, you have a knowledge about those previous sessions, and you can practice more and more questions by looking at those videos, and it will be more helpful for your upcoming examination. The today's topic, as I mentioned, today we are going to discuss about the pricing. As a student, why it is important? The determination of the optimal pricing is important. Overpricing and underpricing will impact on the profitability of the company. If you assume, if you have underpriced, it become a cost to the company, because if you have not if you have not given the proper prices, then your market share and your profitability might diluted. As an example, assume your price, the proper price is 100. If you charge 80, even the determined price is not cover your total cost, ultimately your company will collapse. On the other hand, if you charge a premium price, the market is willing to pay 100, but you are charging 120, automatically your quantity of demand will fall. Then that demand will absorbed by another competitor. Therefore, pricing is very important, because the proper pricing will enable to maintain market share and capture more market share. Therefore, we in this topic we are going to discuss about what are the pricing approaches available, and what are the pros and cons of each pricing strategy, and what is the suitable pricing method we have to discuss. Okay, today these are the topics we are going to cover under methods of pricing. What are the general approach of pricing, what are the commonly used approach in pricing, we will discuss. Thereafter, we will look at what are the alternative pricing strategies available, and how we are going to apply those concepts in the business environment. Okay, if we go through the methods of pricing, full cost plus pricing, you can determine total cost of the production, plus you can add the profit markup, then or margin, then you can determine the selling price. Marginal cost plus pricing, you will determine the marginal cost, then add the markup, because you will assume fixed cost anyway you have to incur whether you produce or not. It is recoverable, it is irrelevant to assume in short term decision making. At least you have to recover the marginal cost plus some margin in order to secure the, or in order to cover profit and the fixed overhead. And market skimming pricing, that is very important pricing strategy when it comes to the market, with which kind of price we need to set based on the market elasticity of demand, how we are going to capture market share. Okay, market skimming and market penetration, based on the product life cycle we have decide which is the suitable pricing strategy, and price discrimination and price bundling, those are other strategies which you can adopt. Okay, under that we are going to discuss about full cost plus pricing. Full cost plus margin or markup. Okay, you will add the profit markup. Okay, therefore full cost plus you will add the profit margin will be on the selling price, then you can say full cost plus markup. Okay, without saying margin, then you will determine the selling price, assume markup, then it will equal to selling price. When you are going to determine the cost per unit, it will include direct material, direct labor, variable production overhead, fixed production overhead, other cost, and then you will determine the total production cost. Then you will add a profit markup to the total cost of production, then you will determine the price. Therefore, when you are going to determine this price, based on the production, based on the cost incurred, you will determine the cost per unit. But remember, the determined price may not be the expectation or the best price in the market. you will determine the price based on the cost you are going to incur. It include direct material, say, then you will include direct labor, you are going to incur direct labor, okay. Then you will add direct other expenses, direct other, then total you will determine prime cost, okay. Then you will add variable production overhead, then you will add part of fixed production overhead. Then you will determine the total production cost, Then you will add profit markup on the total cost you are going to incur. Then this is the total cost you are going to incur, or you had previous experience in this kind of cost you have to be incurred in when the production carried out. Then you will add markup, profit markup on cost. If it is margin, it will be determined on the selling price. Profit markup you will add, then you will determine the selling price. This is how you will determine the selling price of a product. Most of the companies traditionally approach or traditionally use this approach to determine the selling price. In the traditional method, you will determine the total cost, then you will add the profit markup and determine the selling price. The most important thing, you may not identify what is the optimal price which customer is willing to pay. Assume the product customer is willing to pay rupees 100, if you determine 120, then there is a difference between price and demand. Your price will go up, but demand will fall in a significant amount. Therefore, your elasticity of demand also will affect. On the other hand, if you determine a lower price than the customer's expectation, ultimately your overall profit will not be maximized. Then customer might feel, if you determine the price below the expected norm, then if you have determined a lower price, they might think this is an inferior product. Then that opportunity might be captured by any other product as well. That's why the product, the cost plus, full cost plus pricing is a traditional approach, but it is not always suitable to use this approach. But I have to say that the determined profit markup will ensure that total cost will be covered through the selling price. That is the main important thing, including fixed cost, the determined selling price, because you have determined the selling price on the total cost. It will ensure that this margin will recover all the cost, plus all the cost including fixed production overhead. Okay, we will look at in full cost plus pricing, the sale price is determined by calculating the full cost of the product and then adding a percentage of markup for the profit. Yes, that is how we have determined. You have determined the total production cost, then you have added the markup. Assume now the determined price, you have determined the price based on full cost plus pricing. I will say you have determined the price as 100. Your determined price is 100, but you have identified that the competitor has capturing the market. Now you have looked at competitor has determined the price as 90. Okay, you have added here total cost. I will take total cost 80 in your production cost. then you have add a markup of 20, then determine the selling price as 100, but your competitor's price is 90. Now you have to match the competitor's price. Then what is the price you need to determine? Then what are the changes you have to do? Then you have to look at, okay, 100 is not suitable, but I want 20 rupees markup. 20 rupees markup I require, but my total cost even 80. Either I have to sacrifice my markup, or either I have to reduce the cost incurred in these cost items. Those strategies you need to determine based on the competitive price analysis. I will take an example. Currently you are paying a laundry soap as 50 rupees per laundry soap, bar of laundry soap. Assume when it comes to the market, you have determined your price. It's a laundry soap per unit you have determined as 200, but it is not worthwhile to pay 200. Therefore, you have to determine what is the suitable price. While you are determining the price, you have to look at the competitor's price as well. Assume you are running a restaurant. The nearby restaurant sell a fried rice worth of 200. The price is 200. The same type of fried rice you are selling at here at 300 rupees. Okay. Then customers will compare two dishes and decide why I am paying 300 to the same dish which I offer in the other restaurant at a 200 rupees. Then you will compare it. Therefore, when you are determining the price, you can charge a premium, but if the premium can be charged if you can differentiate your product. But here if full cost plus pricing applied, you have determined what is the optimum price. While determining the optimum price, you have to compare the competitor's price and the market condition as well. If based on the full cost plus pricing, if your pricing is going up with compared to the current market prices, if the demand is elastic, your quantity will fall. Okay. Therefore, when we are determining full cost plus pricing, we have to keep on eye when determining full cost plus pricing. Next one is marginal cost plus pricing. Marginal cost. Assume this prime cost, those are variable cost including variable production overhead, those are marginal cost. In order to operate, at least you need to recover marginal cost. Marginal cost plus markup you can add. That markup should ensure it will recover your fixed production overhead and it will generate some profit. The problem of this marginal cost approach, okay, if we look at about marginal cost approach, we will ignore fixed production overhead here, then you will take marginal cost. Okay, marginal cost approach. Marginal cost plus markup. You will add marginal cost plus percentage on the marginal cost. But there is a weakness in this approach, same as previously. There is additional weakness as well. Number one weakness, the determined price may not be the price expectation of the market participants. On the other hand, we can say the determined price may not be matched with the market condition. Your determined price may be higher or overpriced or underpriced with compared to the current market condition, because you will determine the price based on the cost you have incurred or your cost you are going to incur. Okay, that may not, you have not considered about which is the optimal price which customer willing to pay, you have ignored. On the other hand, since you are adding a profit markup on marginal cost, okay, marginal cost, the determined profit margin may not be able to recover full fixed production overhead. That means assume your marginal cost as, this is marginal cost as 70 rupees. Okay. You will determine the selling price as 85. Selling price as 85. 85. Selling price 85. Marginal cost plus 15 rupees margin or markup. But fixed production overhead 20 rupees per unit. 70 plus 20, the total production cost will be 90, but determined selling price is 85. Under that situation, your determined profit markup may not be sufficient, it may not sufficient to recover fixed production overhead. That means the total cost may not cover if you determine marginal cost plus markup. That is the main weakness. But look at the advantages and disadvantages. It says that marginal cost plus pricing is a method of determining the sales price by adding a profit margin on the either marginal cost of production or marginal cost of sales. The main advantages are, it is simple and easy method to use. Either full cost plus approach also easy to apply. The markup percentage can be varied, and also markup pricing can be adjusted to reflect the demand condition. Anyway, markup is the full cost or marginal cost. You can adjust the margin when it comes to reflect the market condition. It draws management attention to the contribution and the effect of higher or lower sales volume on profit. The reason is fixed production overhead, either you produce 1 unit or 2 unit, it may not impact on your decision, but marginal costing approach, you always, at least in order to operate, you have to recover variable cost now. Therefore, marginal cost, pay attention to at least how many unit at least you required to operate in break even. Break even, if you want to operate in break even point, how many unit to be sold. Therefore, it will give some direction, the determined selling price at least recover the marginal cost of production. But remember, there are major drawbacks of this approach. Number one, ignores production overheads in pricing. Then it may not ensure sufficient attention in pay to demand condition, competitors' prices and profit maximization. Sometimes the determined price, as I said, may not be matched with the market condition. If your price is not perfect, competitor will get that benefit. Competitor will determine the best price which customer willing to pay, and customers will attract more on that particular product. That is the main weaknesses in marginal costing approach. Similarly, marginal and absorption costing, both these are the similar nature of weaknesses. Okay. Next one, profit maximization pricing. This is somewhat similar. Most of the time it has been tested in the examination. Profit maximization pricing, this approach, I think you have learnt in advanced level economics. Profit maximization pricing, you have to identify at which price level our profit will be maximized. Then we have learnt in economics in advanced level, there are conditions, there are mainly 2 conditions to be satisfied. Out of that, there is a condition called essential condition. Atyavashya kondesiya. The essential condition need to be satisfied when we are going to maximize the profit. The essential condition is the profit will be maximized when marginal cost equal to marginal revenue. At that point, your profit will be maximized. This is under, if you looked at the chart, what we have done, okay. Then profit and price, profit maximizing price and quantity you need to determine. This is quantity, I say Q, this is P, 0. The demand curve anyway it's a negative slope. When price goes up, demand will fall. When price fall, demand will go, quantity demanded will go up. Therefore, this is the demand curve, I will say demand. But marginal revenue, it's again it has a negative slope, but the slope is greater than demand curve. This is MR, marginal revenue, you have learnt in advanced level. Okay. Then MC, that marginal cost, it will goes up when it comes to when it goes the total cost up, marginal cost will go up. Okay, marginal cost revenue. The marginal cost, how it goes up? It will start, even you can say it, but even in fixed cost also we have to incur. Therefore, it will start like this, marginal cost. When it comes to marginal cost equal to marginal revenue, marginal cost equal to marginal revenue, this is the profit maximizing quantity. Okay, profit maximizing quantity, and you have to touch to demand curve, go up to demand. In this point, this is a profit maximizing price. Okay, generally it should be coming from this point. Then here yes, these are the profits you can earn thereafter. Okay, profit will be maximized. This is a break even quantity, optimum quantity, this is optimum price. Then when you are going to determine profit maximizing price and quantity, what you need to do, you have to identify at which level profit will be maximized. That means at which point your marginal cost equal to marginal revenue. If the marginal cost equal to marginal revenue, at that point profit will be maximized. The purpose of this pricing is to identify the overall profit maximizing price of the entity. According to microeconomic theories, the profit will be maximized when marginal revenue equals to marginal cost. Theoretically, it says like that, and remember, the profit will be maximized when you have identified what is the optimal price which customer is willing to pay, majority of customers are willing to pay. That's how we will determine the optimum price and optimum quantity. If you sell more quantity, but if the price will fall at a lower price, it may not give a proper profit or appropriate profit. Okay. Therefore, it is important to identify at which level your profit will be maximized, at which price level and at which quantity. Based on that, you have determined the profit maximizing price and quantity. Okay, there is an example. We will look at the example and see how are we going to determine optimum or profit maximizing price. First, we will read the illustration. Based on the illustration, then we will determine how are we going to determine profit maximizing price level. Okay, Emerald Stationery Private Limited has introduced a new stationery pack for university students. Currently sells 10,000 packs at 300 each. Okay, current scenario, current level, current, we are selling 10,000 units, 10,000 units at 300 rupees each, 300 each. The management accountant of the company has decided to above price by adding 50% on variable cost, 50% on variable cost. You have added the price. Okay, that means this 300 rupees you have, this is the selling price. This is after adding 50% markup. Okay, so not markup, 50% margin, variable 50% on variable cost. Okay. It was noted that every increase in price by 20 rupees will reduce the demand by 500 unit, and every decrease in price by 20 will increase the demand by 500 unit. The estimated fixed cost of the company is 400,000, which remain constant. The finance manager of the company has requested to determine the profit maximizing price and sales quantity while considering the effect of changing demand with the changing price levels. Okay, now how you have determined the profit markup? This is selling price, of 300 rupees. This 300 rupees after adding 50% markup. Okay, that means this is 150%. If it is 50, how much? Okay, markup is 100. If the markup is 100, then variable cost, 300 minus 100, 300 minus 100, that means 200 rupees is your variable cost. Your marginal cost is 200. Okay. Now, if you determine your total cost function, because you have to determine marginal cost and marginal revenue, if we determine the total cost function, your total cost function will include total fixed cost plus total variable cost. Okay. Therefore, your total cost equal to total variable cost plus total fixed cost plus TFC plus TVC, TFC plus TVC. Now, here the given information, based on the given information, TFC is 400,000 plus TVC. TVC you can get, variable cost per unit is there 200, 200 into number of unit you are going to produce, then you can take the total variable cost. That means 200 Q. This is the total cost function. Total cost function 400,000 plus 200 Q. If you differentiate this, then you can get the marginal cost. Okay. Total cost, first differentiation, then you can get marginal cost 400 power 0 1, then here it is become 0, 200 1 minus 1, 1 into 200 it is 200, Q 1 minus 1 it is 1. Therefore, your MC marginal cost will be 200. Harin api gatte 200. Therefore, your marginal cost will be 200 after the differentiation. If you differentiate total cost function, first differentiation, then you can get the marginal cost. Marginal cost is 200. Now you have to find out what is the marginal revenue. Marginal cost equal to marginal revenue, then you can easily find out profit maximizing price level. Okay, remember variable cost is 200, that means marginal cost is 200. Now we are going to calculate marginal revenue. When you are going to calculate marginal revenue, you have to find out the demand equation or price equation. Okay. Then P equal, can you remember, you have learned in previous studies, P equal A minus BQ, price equation. Then you have to find out here slope. B is the slope. Slope is given by slope. It was noted that every increase in price by 20. Okay, delta P 20, delta Q is 500. Okay, then B, we have to find out the B. B is the slope. B equal delta P divided by delta Q. Delta P divided by delta Q, you have learnt in economics. Then you have to look at how we are going to determine the slope. Slope is how much? Delta P divided by delta Q. Delta P, each change in each 20 rupee change, demand will fall by 500. Okay, assume price has gone up by 20, demand will fall by 500. 500. It will be how much? 20 divided by 500, 0.4. Ignore negative. Anyway, it is negative. No? Slope is 0.4. The slope of this equation is 0.4. Now you have to find out what is the price at when demand. Assume what is the A has to, that means interception, you have to find it out. You have found the slope. Okay, the quantity which, when quantity equal to 0, what is the maximum price? Interception, you have to find it out. A, how to find out A? Now at 300 level, at 300 price, at P equal 300, Q will be 10,000. Q will be 10,000. Now we will write down the price equation. P equal A minus B is 0.4, Q is 10,000. Q is 10,000. Okay. If we write it down like this, total demand at 300 rupees, it is 4, yes, 10,000. Okay, now we will determine price is 300. Okay, here is 300 equal A minus 0.4 into 10,000 mean 4,000. 4,000. Okay, then A should be 4,300. A equal 4,300. 4,300. That intercept is 4,300. Now you can easily develop what would be the assume is 4,300. Okay, now we will determine what is the total. This some mismatches are there. Anyway, now we have to understand the concept. Now we will write it down. Demand equation or price equation. P equal 4,300 minus 0.4 Q. This is the price equation. This is the price equation. 4,300 minus 0.4 Q. Now we will determine total revenue, thereafter marginal cost. TR, total revenue, equal P into Q. Total revenue equal P into Q. Now P is available 4300 minus 0.4 Q. Okay, I'll write it down. P equal 4300 minus 0.4 Q. Now this is the P. P should be multiplied by Q. Then I will multiply it by Q. Okay, now your total revenue function TR equal 4300 into Q, 4300 Q. Okay, minus 0.4 Q into Q, 0.4 Q square. This is the total revenue function. Now you have to differentiate total revenue function into marginal revenue function. Now TR, first differentiation, Q, the power is 1. 1 into 4300, 4300, 1 minus 1, then Q power 0, anyway it is 1. 4300 into 1 means 4300, minus 2 into 0.04, that means 0.8 Q, 2 minus 1 Q1. Therefore, your MR function will be MR function will be 4300 minus 0.8 Q. Okay. Your MR, marginal revenue function, is 4300 minus 0.8 Q. Now you have to determine, now marginal revenue is available, marginal cost is available. Now this you have to look at which point your profit will be maximized. Okay, I will take this side and I will explain. Profit will be maximized when your marginal revenue equal to marginal cost. Okay, profit will be maximized when MC equal to MR, marginal cost equal to marginal revenue. Marginal cost is how much? Marginal cost we have already found 200. Marginal revenue 4300 minus 0.8 Q. Now it is very simple. Now you can find it out. What is the quantity? Okay. Then 0.8 Q, I will take this side. 0.8 Q equal 200 goes to the right side. 4300 minus 200, 4100. Now you want to find out the quantity, profit maximizing quantity. Profit maximizing quantity is Q equal 4100 divided by 0.8. If you divide 4100 by 0.8, then you will receive answer quantity. Profit maximizing quantity will be how much? 5125. See whether it is 5125. 5125 units. 5125 units you need to sell. This is the profit maximizing quantity. Now you have to find out what is the profit maximizing price. This is the quantity. You have to find out at which price profit will be maximized. Okay. Now you have to take the price equation. Can you remember we have written down the price equation? price equal 4300 minus 0.4Q. P equal 4300 minus 0.4Q. Okay. Now, Q is there 5125. Therefore, P equal 4300 minus 0.4 into Q is 5125. Okay, if you determine it, then it will be 2050. 4300 minus 2050 value will be 2250. Okay. Therefore, when you are going to determine the optimum price level, that is somewhat abnormal price is given, but the profit will be maximized in this price level. You have to sell not the quantity, you have to sell 5125 units at a price of 2250. If you determine like this, your total overall profit will be maximized. And your overall, if you determine in this price level, if you look at, your profit can be easily improved. If you calculate the profitability in simple way, your total revenue function there by using your total revenue, or by using this information you can easily calculate. Now your quantity 5125, Q is 2250. Then if you remove your marginal cost, you can get the contribution. If you remove the total fixed cost, then you can get the profitability. Remember, in each and every place, if you check the profitability, this is the highest profit that you can earn. If you look at the revenue, P into Q, that means 5125 into 2250. Take the answer. Then your marginal cost is 200 per unit. Then how many unit you have to sell? 5125. Okay, take the cost here. Then you will receive the contribution. This is the simple approach I am telling you. When you are going to calculate the profitability, the contribution, then you can easily deduct the fixed cost. Fixed cost is given here 400,000. Then you will receive the profitability. This is the profit which will maximize the total profitability. Any other place, if you check, the profit will not be maximized. Maximum or optimal profitability. Optimal profit of the company. Then you can determine the optimal profit here. Okay. This is the simple approach to determine the optimal profit. Therefore, profit maximizing price, if you determine the profit maximizing based on margin, based on the behavior of customer demand and the price change, how responsive to the market, then this is the best approach. Most of the time, this particular area, this particular section will be tested in the examination. What you have to do, you have to determine what is the marginal cost. If the total cost function given, fixed cost is irrelevant because it won't change according to the volume change. Therefore, you have to take the marginal cost. Then it need to be compared with marginal cost, means the variable cost. Variable cost vary with the production. Then take the marginal cost, then it should be compared with marginal revenue. That means total revenue function should be differentiated. Total revenue function, how you arrive it? First you have determined P equal A minus BQ, that is the price function. then it need to be multiplied by the quantity. Then take the total revenue function. If you differentiate it, first differentiation, then you can convert into marginal revenue. Then compare marginal cost with marginal revenue. You can easily determine the profit maximizing price and quantity. That is example number 1. Then it says about revenue maximization. That is very important. I have seen in MCQ papers, it has been tested. If the demand elastic and inelastic, then you have determined which price or what is the pricing strategy in order to maximize my revenue. That is very important. Assume you are in elastic market. In an elastic market, what is the meaning of elasticity? You have to know about it. Assume a small change in price result in a significant drop in sales quantity. Under those kind of market, price increase is not suitable. Why? If you change the price in a small percentage, demand will fall in a greater percentage. Under that situation, you have to think about the responsiveness, price sensitivity to the demand. If the price goes up, demand, the rate of reduction in demand is lower than the price increase, then you have to think about this is the suitable approach to do it. Okay, we will see. The elasticity of demand is important when deciding the revenue maximized price. It is important to consider the market behavior on change in prices. With inelastic demand, increase prices because revenue will increase and total cost will reduce, because quantity sold will reduce. With elastic demand, increases the price will bring the decrease in revenue, and decreases in price will bring increase in revenue. Management therefore have to decide whether to increase or decrease in cost will be less than the greater the increase in decrease in the revenue. Okay, one by one I will take how to determine the elasticity of demand and the price application. When we are going to determine a price, definitely change in price will impact on demand. Based on the customer responsiveness, you have determined which kind of pricing strategy to be adopted. Assume you are in a perfect, or there is no other competitors in the market. Okay, there is no competitor, there is a monopoly in the market. You are the only market or only company in the market. You are a monopoly. There is no any other competitor. The customers don't have any alternative. Your demand is perfect inelastic. Inelastic mean the supply will remain constant because you are the only supplier in the market. Okay. Then demand goes up and down. If you did increase the price, because assume demand is constant. Assume your demand is constant. When demand is constant, you can play with price. Okay. Assume this is the scenario. There is a binding contract. This is price and quantity. This is inelastic demand. Demand won't change. Okay. Demand won't change. Customers are not price sensitive. Assume I will take an example. The demand for salt. It is essential product to buy. Customers will not consider about the price. Customers are not price sensitive. Then you can change the price. Assume this is the supply. You can change the supply. You can determine the price as assume 100, quantities 10,000. 10,000. If you increase the price to 150, the demand will still remain unchanged. If the demand is perfectly inelastic, okay, it is better to increase the price, you can increase the revenue. Or revenue criteria, if you want to increase the revenue, if the demand is inelastic, what you can do, you can increase the price. The increase of price will increase the revenue by this much. Due to pricing, entire amount goes to the demand won't fall. Inelastic demand. Okay, that means change in delta Q remain unchanged even though delta P change. Therefore, price elasticity of demand illume milanammetavya PED, price elasticity of demand equal percentage change in quantity divided by percentage change in price. Percentage change in price. Now here percentage change in quantity is 0. 0 divided by any number of amount, then ultimately answer is 0. Price elasticity of demand is 0. That means demand has no responsiveness to the price change. When the price doesn't have any responsiveness, then those kind of product you can increase the price. This is we call perfectly inelastic. Perfectly inelastic. Perfectly inelastic. When demand is perfectly inelastic, then you can increase the price. On the other hand, this is perfect, but on the most of the scenario, demand is not perfectly inelastic. It might be inelastic. Inelastic means the slope is higher, slight higher. Okay. Under this situation, I will take an example. The change in price greater than change in quantity. This is Q, this is P. It's like this. This is demand. I'll say this is P1. Okay. This is P1. This is P2. If you, this is the price before price increase, this is the quantity 1. Now you want to increase the price. Assume your price is 100, quantity also 100. Price increase up to 120. 120. Q2, demand has reduced, price increased, demand has reduced to 90. Now, if you calculate the revenue after price change and before price change, look at your price has went up from 100 to 120. If it is, since it is going up, demand has fallen from 100 to 90. If you look at the total revenue in the first instance before price increase, TR1, price, that means P1 into Q1, P1 100, Q1 100. Total revenue was 10,000. Total revenue was 10,000. When it comes to TR2, after the price increase, your new price is 120, new quantity is 90, total revenue 10,800. If you look at the current scenario, your price has reduced by 10 rupees, but your quantity has, price has gone up by 20 rupees, your quantity has reduced only 10. Here, your price elasticity of demand, okay, price elasticity of demand lower than 1. That means change in price is, okay, if you look at about price elasticity in demand, price elasticity in demand, delta Q, percentage change in delta Q divided by percentage change in delta P, this is lower than the change in price change. If you look at that price elasticity of demand, this is, if you look at this one, your answer will be lower than 1. PED is lower than 1. එකට වඩා අඩුයි. That is, this is not perfectly inelastic, this is inelastic demand. Sorry, inelastic demand. That means change in price is greater than change in quantity. Under this situation, if the demand is inelastic, it is suitable to increase the price. Okay. If the demand is inelastic, it is not suitable to reduce the price. The reduction in price is greater than increase in quantity. If the demand is inelastic, you may not able to, you should not reduce the price, increase price is more advantageous. Then unitary demand, whatever the price and demand change, it won't affect to the total revenue. As an example, price change, assume price will be changed by 10%, quantity also changed by 10%. Okay. Therefore, the revenue always same in each and every point. That is called unitary demand. That in practical scenario, this won't be, rarely we can't find this kind of situation. The next important thing is perfectly elastic demand. Perfectly elastic demand. When the perfectly elastic demand is there, okay, this is Q, this is P, this is perfectly elastic demand. Okay, this is perfectly elastic demand. That means you can't change the price. P0. You can't change the price. In order to increase the total revenue, what you have to do? You have to supply more. S1, S2. Then you can increase the revenue. Okay. Then you can increase the revenue. The reason is, if the demand is perfect, it is a control price, assume customers are not willing to pay more. If the demand is perfect, you can increase the revenue if you supply more. If you reduce the supply, your total turnover, the revenue will be fallen. Total revenue will fall. Because customer ask specific quantity, any quantity at the desired price level. In a perfect market condition, assume perfect market condition, they will ask, this is the determined price. Based on that, you have to ask whatever the quantity you can supply at the given price level. Okay. Therefore, if the demand is perfectly elastic, what you have to do? You have to supply more in order to increase the revenue. Then we will look at elastic demand, not perfectly elastic, elastic demand. if the elastic demand apply, what will happen? In the elastic demand applies, the change in price is lower than change in quantity. That means small change will create a big change in quantity. Okay. It's like this. This is demand. P Q. PQ. Assume if you, this is the price P1, this is Q1, Q1. If you change the price by small percentage, quantity will change by significant percentage. Assume your price is 100 or 10, quantity is 100, this is the amount. Now you will change the price into 9, now this is 130, 30. Change in price is lower than change in quantity. Quantity එක වෙනස වැඩි. The change in quantity is higher than change in price. If you look at 9 into 130, it should be 1170, but previously it is 100 into 10, 1000 rupees. Therefore, when you are, the most important thing in elasticity of demand, if the elasticity, if the product has a greater elasticity, it is better to reduce the price rather increasing the price. The price elasticity of demand, if you calculate PED, price elasticity of demand, price elasticity of demand, delta, assume delta Q is greater than, delta Q percentage is higher than delta P, change in price. Okay. Then if you change the price by small percentage, the quantity will change by a greater percentage than price change. Under this situation, it is worthwhile to reduce the price rather increasing price when the demand is elastic. That is the elasticity of demand. Okay, one of the important strategies for new products. Assume you are launching a new product. Now these concepts will be tested in the examination, even in the MCQ. You have to have an idea about these pricing strategies. Up to now we have covered, through the webinars we have covered most of the lessons. Now you have an idea how to deal with different kind of subject topics. In advanced management accounting we have covered in most of the aspects we have already covered. You have to go through those lessons and you have to practice more and more questions, and then you can prepare for your next upcoming examination. Okay. When you are launching a new product, market skimming pricing. Market skimming pricing is like this. I will take an example, Samsung or Apple. When they are going to launch a new product, what kind of price they will charge at the beginning? They will charge a premium price at the beginning. They will charge a huge price. At the beginning they will charge a huge price. Remember, they will target, their market is the high end earners at the inception. Therefore, at the inception they will charge a higher premium. When the premium, it's a huge price. Their target is to recover their total cost as much as possible within a shorter period of time. When the Apple iPhone released into the market, they will charge a premium price. They will recover major total cost already been recovered within 2-3 months, because their product life cycle is very shorter. Therefore, what they will do, when it comes to the declining or maturity stage, now it's going to decline. When it comes to decline, why demand will decline? Then competitors will come into the market. Then competitors, now you can't earn a super normal profit like earlier. When competitors are enter into the market, your demand will fall. In order to survive in the market, in order to gain the profit, since you have at the inception you have earned a much more profit or you have already recovered the cost, now you can cut down the prices in order to capture the market, in order to compete in the market. This pricing strategy we call market skimming. Initially we will charge a higher price, premium price, in order to capture high end earners. Okay, if you look at about product life cycle, we know the except design and development cycle, assume design and development, introduction, growth, maturity and decline. Okay, this is design and development. Design and development. This is introduction. This is growth. This is maturity. This is decline. Decline. Okay. Design and development, there won't be any sale, no. At the introduction, you will charge a premium price. Okay, premium price. This is your sales revenue. Introduction phase, it will take some time. You have to do massive advertising and all. In the growth phase, it will go up. Significant growth in total revenue. When it comes to the maturity, now competitors look at this. Competitors will come up with a new product with having the similar features. Okay, assume a biscuit company launch a new product, I will call Apple Puff. Then competitors also will introduce Apple Puff since this product getting more popular. Look at about some other product. If they have not popular, competitors have not introduced similar kind of product. I don't know it is suitable to say or not. Assume there are some crackers, like not cream cracker, kind of cream cracker, the size is different. They have introduced, the well reputed biscuit manufacturing company have introduced that cracker. We will call Sun cracker. Now competitors have not introduced because it was not popular like other products. Then competitors have not entered into market, it is not a good attractive market. But at the time of introducing chocolate puff, it was very popular, it was a very demanding product, it was a very fast moving product. Then all other biscuit manufacturers, confectionery manufacturers, they have introduced the new product, same characteristic, even at a lower price. Now the your sales are grow at the lower level and now more competitive products are there. Now your price is, now your sales are declining. Now you need to, in order to keep your sales up, sales වැඩි කරගන්න, what can you do? At the inception, you will charge a premium price. Now you can cut down the price in order to operate in maturity level further. You can operate in maturity or you can go to the growth level again. Then you have to cut down the price. Okay, that's how if you have seen in mobile manufacturing company, their product life cycle is very shorter. After they release, assume Apple i12, then next to come is 13. Then after 5-6 month period, their product life cycle is maximum 6 months. They need to earn as much as possible within first month. They will charge a premium price. It might be more than 80-70% of the profit markup. They will charge it, and within a few units, they can, small sales volume, they can recover more cost. They will recover even total cost in design and development and other marketing cost will be recovered within a shorter period of time. The remaining units they have sold, they have to add, at least they have to cover marginal cost plus profit margin, profit markup, then they can earn higher profit. That's why market skimming pricing. Market skimming pricing, at the inception they will charge a higher profit markup or higher price. They will charge premium price on the product, they will charge or they will target high end earners. Okay, look at market skimming pricing involves charging high prices when a product is first launched and spending heavily on advertising and sales promotion to obtain sales. Now look at when Samsung released a new mobile phone, how many advertisements they are going, how much they are spending on advertisement. Regular advertisements will be there. The aim market skimming to gain high unit profit early in the product's life. High unit price make it more likely that competitors will enter the market than if lower prices were to be charged. Now if you have charged a premium price, competitor believe this a high end or profit making product, competitors also will enter into the market. Market skimming is suitable when there are some instances given where the product is new and different, which customers are willing to pay a premium on new features. Assume Apple iPhone, when they are releasing a new product, they will charge a premium. Okay, when they Samsung release a new range, Samsung S10 or S12, when they releasing the new version, why they charge a premium? There should be additional feature will be embedded into the new product. Then you have to see whether customers are willing to pay for that additional feature. When strength and sensitivity of the demand is unknown, the price can be adjusted based on the market behavior. Initially, if you can test the market, you don't know about the market behavior, you will charge a premium price and see whether customers will respond or not. If customers are not responding, you can curtail the prices. When high prices in the early stage of product life might generate high initial cash flows. A firm with liquidity problem may prefer market skimming for this reason, because initial cash inflows are very high. Where the product may have a short life cycle and so need to recover their development cost and make a profit relatively quickly. What I have said, in the mobile phone, they need to charge a premium price at the beginning. They need to charge premium price at the beginning in order to recover most of their cost. That is about market skimming pricing. Okay, market penetration pricing. This is completely opposite to market skimming pricing. Market skimming pricing, what we have determined, we are charging a premium price at the beginning, then gradually when it close to the declining stage, then you will reduce the price, because early stage you will ensure that you will recover most of the cost involved in research and development and design and development. Thereafter, most of the advertising promotional cost you are incurring at the beginning stage. Then you are going to cater high end earners, then you are going to capture more revenue at the early stage of product life cycle. Then it comes to the latter part, you need not to have that kind of price, significant or premium price. You can gradually reduce the price in order to survive in the market. But in the penetration pricing, what you are going to do, you will charge a lower price. You are going to offer a lower price to the customer. Profit margin will be very minimal. It is a thin margin. You are going to offer a lowest price product in order to capture more market share. Your target is to increase volume, high volume at the beginning by offering a low price product. Therefore, in the market penetration policy of low prices, when the product is first launched, in order to obtain sufficient penetration into the market, you are going to capture more market share. If you are capturing more market share, you need not to charge a premium price. You can charge a lower price and larger market share. Even per unit margin is small, but the volume is high, then your profit will be maximized. When you are offering a lower price, price sensitive customers will come and buy your product. On the other hand, when you are charging a lower price, threat of new entrants, Porter's 5 forces model, we will learn about, there are 5 threats now. Threat from new entrants. There will be entry barriers. There's a low margin. Therefore, there's no incentive to come into the market, the particular market, because their profit is very minimal. Then if it is a thinner margin, there's no competition. Competition will be low. When competition will be low, subsequent period, you can gradually increase the price in some instances. In shorten the initial period of product life cycle in order to enter the growth and maturity as quickly as possible. ඒ කියන්නේ in the product life cycle, you can reduce the period in introduction period, initial period. You can easily quickly move into the growth phase of product life cycle. That is the main objective in market penetration pricing, because if you determine a lower price, you can capture more market share. If you capture more market share, you can easily move into one phase to another phase quickly. That means introduction phase to growth phase, you can quickly move into one phase to other phase. If there are significant economies of scale to be achieved from a high volume of output, so that quick penetration into the market is desirable in order to gain unit cost reduction. Yes, if you offer a lower price, if you get a high volume of demand, larger quantity, then you can get the economies of scale due to the larger production. Then competitors may unable to supply that particular product at the price where you are currently supplying. The competitors will be eliminated. This is very suitable because when price reduce, in which pricing strategy demand will goes up. When the demand is elastic, it is better to use market penetration pricing. If we use market penetration pricing, automatically your cost or your demand will goes up. The number of unit purchased by the customers will go up. Therefore, market penetration is suitable in order to capture more market share. There are two strategies when you are launching a new product into the market. What are they? Market skimming pricing and market penetration. Market skimming pricing, you will determine a higher price. Market penetration pricing, you will determine a lower price. Remember, market skimming pricing is suitable for a demand which has an inelastic demand, because charging a higher price may not change in more quantity. Therefore, premium price you can charge for the product which has a inelastic demand. Loss leader pricing. A loss leader price, a product that is priced very low in order to persuade customers to buy more profitable product. An example is selling inkjet printers at a relatively low price while selling the print cartridges at a higher profit margin. That means, assume you are selling an inkjet printer, the price is very low, but the components, parts of them are very expensive. I will tell this kind of things. You can purchase a printer in inkjet printer at a lower price, but toner will be very high expensive. You can buy, assume, a camera. The chips might be very expensive. You have to change the chips and their cost is very expensive. Therefore, loss leader pricing, the product will go together. The components of other product you can sell it together. Other product price you can charge a premium. Even as I said earlier, when you are going to purchase a product with like a bundle product, you have to purchase in a combination of product. One product will be sell at a low loss, other product will sell at a higher premium. That loss will be compensated by other product. That is called loss leader pricing. You will give motive to purchase this product. This is sell at a lower price. The product after them purchase the product, they have to purchase other product as well. Then automatically you will get the desired profit margin. Assume after you have purchased the printer, you have to purchase the toner, you have to replace some print cartridges from the same entity. You can't purchase from any other entity. Then there's no option. then they have to purchase at a higher price. Premium pricing, business may try to emphasize particular feature to justify more expensive premium product. Now look at motor cars. Why the purpose of using motor cars is the traveling purpose, but the price you are paying for Toyota, or assume you are paying for Alto, is different from the price you are paying for BMW or Mercedes. Why? All those vehicles are used for transportation purpose, traveling purpose. Why we are paying BMW at a higher price with compared to Alto or Toyota? The quality of the feature, the quality of the product. BMW, it emphasize their product is at superior quality. If assume if an accident happen in BMW, but the impact to the passengers will be very minimal, but if it is a Alto, Maruti Alto, don't even think about it. Therefore, their quality, they have emphasized some superior quality. They are charge a premium price on some unique quality of their product. That is we call premium pricing. Businesses may try to emphasize particular feature to justify more expensive premium products. Example is given BMW with compared to Toyota and Alto. Price discrimination. Price discrimination is the practice of charging different prices for the same product or different groups of buyers when these prices are not reflective of cost differences. Look at the price discrimination only effective when the ability to segment the market based on the prices which customers are willing to pay. You should be able to segment the market. As an example, price discrimination, you are selling the same product at a different prices. You should be able to convince the difference. On the other hand, there must be little or no chance for black market developing. Okay, there is no chance for black market developing. There must be little or no chance to competitors can and will undercut the firm's prices in the higher priced and the most profitable market segment. Because I assume, look at about the cement product, when they are sending to one product to the other market, other district, the prices are different. It is not the same prices. The incremental administration cost segmentation should be not exceed the incremental revenue on segmentation. Different price elastics in different market segment which entity may able to exploit the demand. This price discrimination I have seen in most instances. Some of same product you will discriminate, like assume vegetable, packaged vegetable and normal vegetable. They will charge the same product, but they will discriminate the product, and some customers willing to pay packaged vegetables, some are not. You can discriminate the product and you can charge a different price on that. Product bundling. Product bundling you might have seen in most of the supermarket. Product bundling will happen. Some product will be sell with another product. Okay, I will tell you, if you purchase milk powder, you will get a discount of 20 rupees. The milk powder sell with together with tea packet, tea bags. Therefore, they have bundled the product and sell. That is called product bundling. This involves selling number of product or service as a package at a price lower than the aggregate of their individual prices. But there are some instances when we are going to the supermarket, if you purchase 1 bar of soap, price will be 50. If you purchase 3 bar of soap, it will be 140. The saving is 10 rupees. Now customer think, okay, if I purchase 3 bar of soap, it will be 150 rupees, but this is 140, 10 rupee advantage is there. Then it is worthwhile. The customer will purchase more quantity. That means earlier if it is not product bundling there, customer will purchase only 1 bar of soap. That is his requirement. But here you have sold additional 2 units. Your sales can be boost. On the other hand, if I take this kind of thing, now you want to sell a there's a one product, it is not fast moving. you want to sell that product as well. Then you will bundle with the fast moving product with a discount. Then customer, even though it is not required by the customer will purchase both together because it has a discount. Ultimately, this will increase the overall revenue and overall sales volume. Therefore, the success of depend on the increase in sales volume and the profit margin. Therefore, we have to think about, I have seen in most of the scenarios, supermarkets apply this product bundling. They will sell collection of product together with a discount. That means that encourage them to increase the total sales volume. Okay, you can move to 2017 June paper, question number 3. Then it will related to product pricing, determination of optimal pricing. You can get an understanding how to deal with pricing question in the examination. Okay, that is the end of product pricing lesson. Now you can go through how determine the pricing and what are the pricing strategies available, pricing methods available, that is full cost plus, marginal cost plus pricing, profit maximizing pricing, loss leader pricing, thereafter market skimming and market penetration pricing. Those pricing strategies we have discussed. When we are launching a new product, market penetration pricing and market skimming pricing, how we are using them. Those are the very important thing you have to think, you have to understand in pricing lesson. Big data in decision making, this is a quite important topic, and all the topics are very important because there might be my MCQ question in the examination paper. It can be some writing question. The big data, even though not discussed in detail in your syllabus content, this become a more important topic in current business environment. What is the because how we use this big data into our decision making. First we need to look at what is the meaning of this big data. What is big data? This big data, it is an unstructured, high velocity, high volume, high variety information. It's a very complex definition. High volume, its a volume is too much. It cannot be bared by a normal computer. It's a high volume of data. And remember, it is a data, not an information. That means those data are unstructured. There's no proper structure. And high velocity, so it will take high velocity, high volume data. Then how to source this high volume data? Normally in those high volume, this big data you can find in the business environment. You can find this information through social media platform. You can identify some customer characteristic. You can find this information through your customer CRM software, customer relationship management software. Those large volume information. Assume you have a branch network, you have millions of customers purchasing the product. Based your customer purchasing pattern, you can customer by customer you can trace. Now assume when you are searching in your Facebook account, you are searching, assume you have searched CA Sri Lanka, next time the notifications will come. Okay, because that is the big data analytics, how it important. The big data analytics can be more meaningful if you have to analyze this big data and you have to convert this big data into meaningful information. Those meaning, if you convert, but it takes significant effort, significant task. Even Facebook campaigns or Facebook also, Facebook collect some information, the data. Then based on those data, some news we heard about how US president has done the election, some issues with data privacy and all, they have discussed this. There are some data privacy laws and all being introduced now, because you have significant amount of data related to your personal information. Now they are on the social media platforms. Therefore, big data, it says big data has been defined as high volume, high velocity and high variety information assets that demand cost effective, innovative forms of information processing for enhanced insight and decision making. Gardner has mentioned it. Most important characteristic in big data: high volume, high velocity, high variety. Those are the most important characteristic in big data. These data require further processing to convert as information which can be useful in decision making. That means these big data is unstructured. Since they are unstructured, you have to take some process to convert this unstructured data into more meaningful information. That it requires some time, it requires significant involvement. In present, even now, most of the multinational company, large companies now focusing on how we are going to use these big data. Those FMCG companies, they need to identify about customer perception and what customer expect from our product, what are the changes in customer behavior and how we treat individual customer based on their preference. That is very important. That will help. Nowadays, the information is the key tool. If you look at about world number one companies, which companies? Tech companies and information. Information is the asset. Those are not manufacturing companies. Number one companies are Facebook, Google, thereafter even Elon Musk, their company. Why? They are on most depend on technology and information. Therefore, information is the key. This is the era which information became the key asset to success. Big data analytics. Look at this involves with the analysis of larger unstructured data which have gathered from different sources. These data might be gathered from conversations people have on Facebook, Twitter or any other social media platforms. That means those information might gather from different social media platforms. Now, even now, if you search, if you watch some videos, assume you have watched some videos in some, assume how to prepare good looking PowerPoint presentation, you have searched it and you have watched some videos. Now it is automatically, now it has been traced. When you looking at the Facebook, you will get notification and advertisement and all. You will get some links to see similar kind of presentation or videos and video clips. Assume you have seen some, you have gone and seen some political speeches. Now they are pop up in your Facebook pages. You can now those are the things. Those data can be collected. Then now they can imagine what is your preferences. Okay, the way you have responded, the way you have liked. Now even some assume Google, you will say last month where you have been visited. Now Google has connected, you use your GPS. Based on the GPS, they have tracked where you were there in the last in some instances it might be some against the privacy as well. You were went there, here and there, you stay this time, at this day you were in Colombo, this date you are in Kandy. Likewise, entire map will be given over past month, review will be given, like Google Map review. Likewise, those are the big data analytics. Those data can be used in order to identify customer preferences. The aim of big data analysis is to extract insight from unstructured or large volumes of data. because the social media platform, we will type, we will different arguments, sometime we will like, sometime we will dislike, sometime we will give some emojis, like, then they will those users of those data, that data privacy should be there, but we don't know, they can access to those information and they can extract those information and see the patterns of the each and in every individual. These information will be get in addition to social media RFID tag. As I mentioned, when you buy RFID tag, they will punch RFID tag, then automatically information will be extracted. Even tracking devices. Now tracking device GPS, if we use GPS, then automatically those information will be taken. Okay, how Google Map identifies the traffic they are in the route? The person who has taken the GPS on and they have find the best route to go, then automatically update how long he has been taken, the cumulative time taken by each vehicle, they will automatically calculate, then traffic will be shown accurately. As an example, it says 30 minutes to go to the destination, then it will take 30 minutes. It is guaranteed. If you have practice, you can see they said this is the best route to go, this will take, the entire journey will take 30 minutes, then more or less it close to 30 or 31 minutes. That accuracy is there. Traffic flow from social networks, from internet search index such as Google Trends, from timing and location cash withdrawal from ATM machines. If you have withdrawn some money in previous occasion, assume 5,000 or 10,000 you have withdrawn in last instance. When you go to the machine says, when you insert your password and all, you have withdrawn this much, do you want to withdraw the same amount? How they have tracked that one? They have record each and every individual records are there. Therefore, they will use AI, artificial intelligence, to track those information. Okay. Application area, web analytics. These are the tools which we can use to analyze. Web analytics. Analytics tool like Google Analytics allow companies to track the traffic on their website. For example, what search pages people used, how they go to the page, what they were looking at in which sequence, how long they stayed, whether they were converted into customers. Now we will take an example in Sri Lanka. How many people view Sri Lanka website? In Sri Lanka, they can search how many times they have viewed and discussed or they have looked at how to register Sri Lanka, how to like different frequently asked question also they can track. Therefore, web analytics, you can see how many students view Sri Lanka YouTube channel, how many likes and how many dislikes, how many minutes they have viewed. Okay, each person, assume after releasing this video, there are assume 1,500 views are there. How long they were stayed in the video, those information can be now they can view, they can obtain the information. That is web analytics. Customer analytics. Customer analytics enable companies to understand which customers are their most loyal, they are most profitable, or they are most expensive to keep. Therefore, based on the customer buying pattern, how long they have spent with them, and some customers might ask some claims, whether they are regular customers, they are very loyal, they are regularly purchasing from them or not, those information can be tracked. Predictive business analysis, this is very important. In the simple form, predictive analytics allow companies to use their data to forecast and predict future liquidity and cash flows as well as revenue and profit predictions based on past history, and you can identify which month our revenue go up and which month, based on the current pattern, they can decide which month more revenue inflows, more cash inflows, and which month there might be cash deficits. The forecasting will be very important. I will take an example. If you are running a restaurant, you can identify purchasing pattern the customer arrivals, the number of customers per each day. Generally, when it comes to Monday, it's a dull day, not a dull, but most of the people has to go to work. But Monday, there might be less customers. Tuesday, slight increase. Wednesday, same. Thursday, slight up. Friday, more customers. Saturday, even more. Therefore, you can identify the trend and how many customers will be there in each day. You can accurately predict. Then you can arrange your restaurant space, you can arrange the restaurant foods and beverage, or you can properly arrange. That is predictive analysis. You can use this information, big data, to make predictive analysis as well. Project analysis, companies use project analysis to track whether projects are running on time and on the budget. In the project, when you release in the goods, when you can even analyze whether project is meeting the deadline or not. You can project based on the current trend whether we can meet the deadline or not. Process analytics are used to understand which processes are optimized and identify processes that can be improved or changed in order to increase the efficiency. You can analyze each and every process. What are the processes which has to be improved, which processes are more competitive with compared to the competitors. Assume you are running a bank. The cash disbursement process, loan process is very competitive and very accurate, and evaluation process is very effective and very efficient. In some instances, leasing section, assume it takes more time to disburse a loan or lease. Then you can identify which area the problem is. Supply chain analytics enable companies to optimize their supply chain. When to order, where to order, from whom to order. Those supply chain management you can do properly. And which plant do you have to direct? When there's a material or some resource requirement, how we identify it, how we have placed the order to the supplier, those kind of thing we can do. That is supply chain and procurement management together. Marketing and brand analytics. Analytics allow companies to identify the most effective marketing channels and marketing strategies. Companies can also use analytics to track brand awareness and brand engagement. Now even you can use social media. You can identify social media platforms also can be used to evaluate or identify marketing and brand analytics. How we are going to brand, which kind of market segment you need to cater, and what are the customers' expectation, what kind of channel need to be used. You can analyze by looking at, in the modern context, most of the people are using mobile phone, except with compared to the other telecommunication method like television, newspapers, e-papers, but people are not reading that. People are used to use mobile phones and social media platforms through the mobile smartphones. Then you have to identify the mode of approaching to them. Business intelligence. Business intelligence refers to technologies, application and practices for collecting, integrating, analyzing and presenting business information. After gathering of all this information, you have to, based on that, those information you have to use to predict your business information, and you have to provide some insights to make decision. BI helps users to gain insights and make better fact-based business decisions, to improve performance, to help cut cost across, or help find new business opportunities. Now you can look at those information. You can gather all the information in your system and see what are the pattern. If you service this particular customer, which customer segment you need to cater, and which area has a more risk. You can, all the kind of things you can do by using this big data. Budgeting, financial planning and forecasting, tracking the performance of marketing campaigns. You can see after marketing campaign and before marketing campaign whether sales are growing up. If you put number of advertisement, when it is going up, sales also going up or down, or whether there is no change. Risk analysis and customer relationship management. I will take an example. You can use after purchase some product, you can get customer contact details and you can regularly sending some push messages to the customer, then customers will notify and some instances that will convert into a sale. Those things are very important. Benefits and issues. Main benefit, you can use this big data analysis to acquire and identify potential customers, and potential customers or target customers you can develop and you can retain and you can attract new customers. Therefore, big data analysis can be used to retain existing customers and attract new customers. You can identify who are the potential customers and how you are going to convert them to an actual customer. Therefore, big data will be very important for that aspect. High precision sales forecasting can be important for supplies, perishable items. As I said, assume you are running a restaurant. The foods will be perishable. Therefore, you have to specifically predict how many customers will come for this particular day. That is very important. Risk and financial management can be done through the big data analytics. Issues, ethical issues. There were some instances, your personal information might be collected unknowingly. How do you know the information you have put into your social media won't be used by any other person? How do you guarantee it? I have personally experienced some of my in the initial stage in the Facebook, some fake profiles being created by someone else by taking my photos. Okay, that ethical issues will be there. Some instances I will take that is privacy issue, ethical issues and privacy. I will take this kind of example, it's also there. Now when you purchasing from a supermarket, assume a lady, now suddenly realize that the lady's purchasing pattern has changed. Now she is not purchasing lot of high fragrance perfumes and those are not purchased. Now she is purchasing like baby soap and her purchasing pattern has changed. Now there is an indication she might be pregnant. Okay, then that particular supermarket might cater, okay, this kind of product are approaching to her house, sending some messages to you can baby care products are available. Then that indicates those are personal. Sometimes she might not willing to disclose it immediately. Sometimes she has not disclosed yet to the other people or family relatives. Then those kind of ethical issues can happen. Change of purchasing pattern they will assume, okay, your purchasing pattern has changed. Now this is the indication, this will be your relevant area. That is ethical issues, ethical problem. How can you assure our data is not used by someone else? There might be some ethical issues. Security of data is a problem, and sometime you might share some information without knowing the real owner. Therefore, ownership of big data is a real much concern. You will share some original post, you don't know about the original extract, you share some copyright, intellectual problem will come. Those are the major issues in big data analytics. That is the end of very small lesson, but you have to think about, you have to identify what is the importance of use of big data analytics and what it means and how we are going to use those big data into decision making. Okay, that is the end of big data analytics, very small topic. You can go through these slides and this information. This is very important in order to get an understanding of how to analyze big data. Thank you.